Lucy Nicotine is a company founded by Caltech scientists and former smokers looking for a better and cleaner nicotine alternative. Finally, tobacco alternatives that don't suck.
Researched and developed for 3 years to be made for people, not patients. Lucy has created a nicotine gum with 4 milligrams of nicotine that comes in 3 flavors: wintergreen, cinnamon, and pomegranate. Lucy also has a lozenge with 4 milligrams of nicotine in cherry ice flavor. Each and every flavor actually tastes great, and it's convenient and discreet. Products can be enjoyed anywhere, on flights, at work, on the go, or even in the gym.
I am so happy that Lucy is sponsoring us. Ever since they came on board, I have gotten no less than 5 of my friends transitioned over to Lucy and put their cigarettes down. They like the gum. I'm used to seeing the packages all around. This stuff is great, and it's really helping people make much healthier choices. So get on board and join the Lucy movement.
Hey, it's 2021. Get rid of your cigarettes, unplug your vape, throw out your dip, and get some Lucy nicotine gum or lozenges. This is the real deal. A subscription to Lucy comes directly to your door each month. It's so simple that you don't even have to leave your house because Lucy has delivery down.
Reality NSFW listeners, go to lucy.co and use promo code SURVIVOR to get 20% off all products, including gum or lozenges. That's lucy.co and use promo code SURVIVOR at checkout. Also, I have to give this disclaimer. Warning, this product contains nicotine derived from tobacco. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. That's lucy.co, and be sure to use that promo code SURVIVOR.
This episode of Reality NSFW is sponsored by Blue Chew. Say it with us, Blue Chew. Blue Chew is making waves and bringing more confidence to the bedroom by offering chewable tablets that can help men get stronger and longer-lasting erections. That's right, we're giving away super hard dicks.
Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in chewable form and at a fraction of the cost. Blue Chew's tablets help men achieve harder, stronger erections to combat all forms of ED.
Blue Chew is an online prescription service, so no visits to the doctor offices, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. And it ships right to your door in a discreet package. The process is simple. Sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. And the best part, it's all done online.
Blue Chew's licensed medical providers work with you to find the right ingredient and strength for your prescription. Don't like swallowing pills? No problem here. Blue Chew's sildenafil and tadalafil tablets are chewable. Blue Chew's tablets are made in the USA, and they prepare and ship direct, so it's cheaper than a pharmacy.
Hey, if you're looking to give that immunity idol to someone, or you don't want to be voted out of a crater, don't worry, Blue Chew's got you covered. So if you could benefit from extra confidence when it's time to perform, visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information.
And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew free when you use promo code SURVIVOR at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's Blue Chew, BlueChew.com, promo code SURVIVOR to receive your first month free. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast.
We're all trying to eat better, but healthy breakfast doesn't have to be boring. Magic Spoon has the amazing flavors you love, but without all the bad stuff. And it's amazing as a midnight snack right before bed.
0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, and only 4 net grams of carbs in each serving. That's only 140 calories per serving.
It's keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, and low-carb. And build your own box. Available flavors to build your very own custom bundle are cocoa, fruity, frosted, peanut butter, blueberry, cinnamon, cookies and cream, and my favorite, maple waffle. Now, Magic Spoon recently brought back their 2 super popular flavors, cookies and cream and maple waffle. Thank goodness. But they're back permanently. And when these flavors were first introduced for a limited time, they sold out extremely quickly. Now, I'm here to let you know you can get them again or try them for the first time. Why? Because they're delicious and indulgent.
Johnny, Magic Spoon has so many great flavors that I really enjoy, and even my kids enjoy them. We have the cocoa, fruity frosted, peanut butter. All these are really great combinations. They enjoy waking up in the morning and getting some Magic Spoon right off to start their day great before they head off to school. I think everybody listening should give Magic Spoon a try, or if you've tried them already, it's time to reorder. Let's get you some more Magic Spoon and get your day started right.
Hey, when I finish a podcast late at night, the first thing I'm thinking is not sleep. It's let me grab a delicious bowl of Magic Spoon before I go to bed.
So go to magicspoon.com/survivor to grab a custom bundle of cereal and try it today. And be sure to use our promo code survivor at checkout to save $5 off your order. And Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to get your next delicious bowl of guilt-free cereal at magicspoon.com/survivor and use the code SURVIVOR to save $5 off. Thank you, Magic Spoon, for sponsoring this podcast.
Hello, Janet. How are you today?
Hello, Sarah. Thank you for inviting me in to talk with you.
Yes, my pleasure. I'm very, very excited. I was like, I just need to have Janet on here.
Well, I'm glad to be here because I
Cool.
think this topic is a good topic.
Yes, it's a very important topic, which I think that in not just Survivor, but I think the world gets very often overlooked.
Yeah.
Mental health plays such a big role in all of our lives, way more than we'd like to probably admit. So,
Yep. I really think mental health should be thought of just as much as physical health, dieting and exercise.
mhm.
Your mind needs just as much health and taken care of because without that, you can't do all the other stuff.
It's so true. So let's dive right on in. So I know you played season 39. So I know like before you go on to the show, there's so much that happens. Any sort of stories or anything interesting that happened for you before the game happened?
Well, my husband was my coach. He had the backyard totally set up with balance beams and giant slingshots and fire making stations. And he would hide pool balls in the woods, like for immunity idols. And I would do that. And then I would work on slide puzzles because I suck at them.
I hear that.
And just I'd watch something of Survivor every day. I probably spent about 2 to 3 hours a day.
Wow.
Where I was just like something with Survivor.
Do you feel like that helped you?
I feel like it did help me. I also feel like after talking to the other survivors and what they did, many of them prepared differently than I did.
Interesting.
I feel like I was more well-rounded. I think that I could have done a little bit more in the mental aspect of the game.
Interesting that you say that, because actually it's the first person I feel like that has brought that up, that they wish that they prepared mentally. So what do you mean by that? What do you think you would have done differently to prepare mentally?
Well, I was working also on a lot of meditating and reading and things of that nature. So when I knew during times of stress, that was something I could go to that just depended upon me. So that was something that I tried to prepare myself for. I thought I was a great observer of people. Since I've been on the show and I've been through the psychological trauma of many different things, I now observe people much differently. I don't know if I could have prepared for that anymore. I'm not sure. But that probably would have been something. Talk to more people, did maybe some more research with maybe people that went through adverse conditions and how did they mentally deal with it? What were their mental coping skills? I think that would have been an additional benefit to me.
Sorry if you hear that. My dog's just running through the house.
Oh, that's more than fine.
I don't know what she's doing. But yeah, it's hard to know how you can prepare to
My husband
go through these things.
The house.
There you go. They're both running wild. It is hard to know because you really don't. I feel like, well, talking to people, reading people, I feel like all of it comes with practice too. So it's kind of like you can do so much. Like for school, for me, for example, I could read all I wanted to about behavior and all sorts of stuff, but until I actually was in the real world, being able to see it and witness it, that's where I actually learned about it. So I totally know what you mean by that. So it's hard to know, but I guess hindsight's always 20/20. You're always like, oh, I could have done more.
That's really true. I also did a lot of, or not a lot, of studying of the indigenous plants.
Oh, smart.
That's why when I saw breadfruit, I was the one that first found it and cooked it, and it was like, everybody's like, what is this? I'm like, guys, this is good. This is going to help us.
Oh,
so
yeah. And I feel like you, even on the show, it makes me, when you say that, makes me think like you were like that motherly figure of kind of helping people, like, here, the breadfruit, like I promise, like the little kids be like, no, I don't want it. And it's like, no, like it's going to make you healthy and strong.
Well, that happened for the first night. My suggestion is because we had such a hard time at different times keeping the fire going. I mean, we literally would blow on the fire for like 2 hours to keep it going, to cook the rice. Wow. To keep the water going. And I was like, hey, if we're doing this, let's put a second pot of rice on so we'd have it for the morning. And they were all like, oh, we like our rice hot. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'll eat cold rice if it's rice. So anyway, when we went hungry for the first challenge, then we said, oh, maybe we should go back and revisit that double pot of rice scenario. Mm-hmm. And then we started taking the breadfruit and substituting that in for different times of the day, and the coconut. The only problem is the coconut and the breadfruit are fibers. So they're making you go to the bathroom.
Yeah. And during a challenge, that's probably not the best time.
There were times when we had to turn back because some of us had to go to the bathroom as we were walking out.
Oh, no. I mean, that's what happens. Your body gets so, for lack of better words, wrecked when you're out there. So all of your system is just not itself.
And then you eat anything and it just runs right through you. Mm-hmm. So, you're like months of having a messed up digestive tract. Months.
Jeez.
So.
Yeah. So I feel like we just like jumped right into the game.
I'm sorry.
Oh no, that was me. That wasn't you. But is there anything else that you can think of for like pre-game that you think played a big role?
Just, I think the comfortability of repetitive practice. Like I knew I could start fire with flint without even thinking about it. I just wanted to get it down without flint, and that was like because that was my big thing. That was, and I said it and I put voice to it, and I made goals. One goal was to start fire without flint. The second one was to find an idol. The third one was to be the first woman to spear a fish, which I was. And the second one, or the last one, was to win. But what are you going to, and I also had the goal of, the older woman being, a provider and not the older woman that just sits back at camp.
I love that you mentioned the fire piece, because I remember I like cheered for you. I was so happy that you did that. And, I think that you did achieve a lot of those goals, because I always was like, Janet's a total badass. So I loved watching you play. I think it was, you brought a lot of life to the game, I think. And I think that as much crap as your season gets, I also think that a lot of the people that came out of your season are so notable. And cast-wise, it was so good.
It's been said that the cast that we actually had so many strong characters. If they had just taken even one or two of us and put them on another season, it would have been like a runaway. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, I totally agree. I loved, and that's the thing. I think that I would have probably stopped watching the season, but I wanted to continue watching because of all of you. So it was good in that way. So I know that from what I hear about casting and kind of getting onto the island and all of that, that it's almost like a mind game the entire time.
Totally.
And it's almost, I've had a lot of people tell me that, you know, they purposely like try to fuck with you like before you even get onto the island, just by even just doing the casting. So what was that process like for you?
That was brutal. I think that you know, you're first of all, you don't know if you get a phone call or saying, "Hey, Jeff Probst wants to do a FaceTime with you," and you're like, "Oh my God, okay." So you do that, and Matt does one with you, and if you pass that, then you find out that they're going to fly you out to California for your week of, you know, finals week. That is so hard. You can't talk to anybody. You can't do anything. You're locked in a room. I just being indoors like freaked me out. We would get like a half hour out. You would go out like 3 hours on psychological tests, physical tests, written tests, interviews with Jeff and CBS. You know, but you're isolated. You go down to eat. The whole hotel is just you guys, and you have people watching you that you don't talk to each other. You can't even look at each other, but we do.
You're just like, don't look at me.
And the game actually starts there.
That's what I've been
told. The
game
actually starts there, and you know, then you don't know if you're going to make it or not, and then hopefully you get a call in January or February, and you're flying out 3 weeks later, and you get to, you know, pregame. And that's just as bad. You can't move. You're on Ponderosa. Everybody there is on tribes. You don't know what tribes they're on. So you're making all of these judgments about people. And they're playing the game, because people will play pregame. Like Jamal, I thought he was a professional football player. You know, the way he dressed and everything like that. You know, so the people are playing the game right from there. I didn't. I was just me.
But there's a lot to say about somebody just being genuine.
Well, my problem was I knew I could hold the lie, but I didn't know how long I could hold the lie for. I mean, I was going to go in and lie about my age, lie about my kids. And then I was just like, you know what? I'm going to screw this up after about 3 days of not eating and starving and not sleeping. I won't think right. And I'll say something and somebody will pick up on it. So I was just like, screw it.
And sometimes people just know too. I remember when I played my my live game, I lied about being a therapist. I said I was a receptionist. And when I actually came forward, people were like, Sarah, there was no way that you were a receptionist. And I'm like, okay.
And then you get found out and it's like, oh, you know.
They're like, no, like, it's pretty obvious that that's not your job. I'm like, okay.
But that pregame, it's almost physically painful because you can't even like get in the pool. Like they didn't want like Elizabeth, especially, and me getting in the pool because you can move certain ways and you know they're a swimmer.
Oh.
You know what I mean? And I already had drawn my own conclusions anyway, you know. But
did you kind of pick up on like who she was?
Well, I knew she was a high level swimmer because I saw her do a stretch one day at the pool that only swimmers do.
Okay. Because I wasn't sure if you recognized her.
I didn't recognize her, but I knew her body. I knew the way she moved, you know, as a swimmer and a coach for 40 something years, you know, and 2 kids that were Division I swimmers. Actually, one of my girls swam in the same meets as her. So,
wow.
Yeah. So it, you know, the swimming world is pretty, it's big, but it's small. And, you know, I knew, and I was like, shit, there's a swimmer here. Cause that was going to be another one of my strong suits. So, and then they had us do that swim off against each other. That's never happened before. That length of a swim race, the one she and I went against each other. Yeah. So
that was fun. That was fun to watch. But yeah, it's interesting because it's like anything, even the Survivor community is very small. It's big, but it's small. Because I'll realize I'm like, oh, I know that person and that person. And you have to think that, I mean, obviously they get people on the show who aren't as big Survivor fans, but I think now people either know it or you're a big fan or you're not a big fan. So it's always like, is there a chance that people might recognize each other? That's the interesting
Right.
part.
As soon as we got to the merge, though, we talked, and then I was like, "Oh my gosh, you're Elizabeth." Yeah, I knew. You know. Yeah.
And it's funny because even in those like hidden camera shows where there's really a celebrity, sometimes people don't even notice it's a celebrity.
I know,
because you don't think about it. So it's not like you were going to think about there's going to be somebody here I might know.
Well, I'm terrible that way. I mean, and I'm known to be terrible that way. So it's like I don't even know how people recognize me. I don't recognize me.
Like, who's that in the mirror?
Yeah.
So after the whole, you're on the island, you go through all of, that fun stuff on Ponderosa, and then you're put into tribes, and the game officially starts.
The game officially starts. Yeah.
So what were your, I guess, impressions? Like, what did you think that would be? Was there anything that you thought would be really hard for you when it first started? Or like, what were your expectations versus reality, I guess?
Well, we didn't get the boat. We didn't get to jump off the boat. I was expecting that. I had the whole thing planned where I was going to take my pants off, tie knots in the bottom, because I could float in the water. Give me all this shit. I'll swim it. I was going to put the pants around my neck with all the food stuffed in it. I had the whole thing planned, and we had no boat. And we were 3 days before we even saw Jeff.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. We were like, what is going on?
You're like, is Jeff gone now?
Yeah. We were making so many jokes about him. Oh my God. But my expectations, I guess the first couple days are what I did expect to have happen. And I was just so nervous about me making fire, not making sure I wasn't getting voted out first, making sure I was very focused on myself, trying to make an impression on the tribe. At one point, actually, Dan is the one that said to me, "Hey, stop working around camp so much and come socialize. We need to do more socializing." And I was like, shit, yeah, I do. I need to go socialize a little bit more. Because I was getting into the role of just taking care of the fire and, all that kind of stuff. They were building the shelter and, I was working. I was trying to prove my point. And I did. I needed to move away from that, but I was focused. But it was okay.
I feel like you get tunnel vision too.
I did. Yeah. I did. The worst part for me was the cold. The cold. I mean, if it rained, we were freezing. But there were so many nights that we just laughed because it's pitch black. You can't see your hand in front of your face. And these girls, I don't even know where they come up with these games. Tommy knew them because he taught elementary school. These like word games, and we're sitting there jammed in with water coming down and trying not to have the water come on us. And they're asking me about these word games, and I'm like, I can't do them. So I said, I want a teammate that had teamed with it. So it was just that. We had a lot of laughs, and we in the beginning, it was my idea, because I do it in my own life. We did gratitudes.
Oh,
we did every night. We did gratitudes from like the morning, or the night before to it was a 24-hour period. And everybody had to do 3 gratitudes. And it was really cool. Really, everybody really looked forward to it. Oh. The other thing I didn't expect is every night when we got to Lyro, so this was later in the game, but we still started it on Vokai. We all watched the sunset together. It was beautiful. We would just lay on the beach and watch the sunset together and kind of forget the game.
It's good. It's important. And I think the other thing too, with gratitude, it's proven that it can really help change our perspectives and make us feel a lot more positive and happy. So it's great that you did that. I bet it was actually really great for just tribe morale in general.
It was. It really was. It was. We were also very bonded. So when the swap came and some of us were mixed, you still felt that bond. I thought it was very important, and it really helped in the game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if if a lot of seasons do those types of bonding activities, but you get really close to people, and I don't think people understand that always, because I know like when I've always seen people start crying on the show, people are like, you just met the person, who cares? It's like, but you build such a strong, when you meet someone now, you have a phone, you have other things, you're not with somebody 24/7 in a survival situation, where you even said before that it's almost kind of like the survivor trauma. You're all living through this like trauma together. Even though it's a great experience, you're still don't have food, you're not sleeping. It takes a toll on you.
It's a trauma. And I got to tell you, the psychological trauma is far worse than any physical trauma or endurance that you, in my opinion, that you experience on Survivor. And I believe that many of us are changed people when we come out, some for good and some not so good. You know?
Yeah, and that's the sad part. And then to see people just get ripped apart in comments, and it honestly breaks my heart, because I don't think anybody really understands what it's like. So I'm going to ask about this. So I know that there was obviously like a lot of drama on your season, and I can only imagine how challenging that was for me, and I think as any viewer to watch, it was challenging, but to be there, I know there's probably a lot that obviously we didn't see. So we can only make our own assumptions about like what that was like, but I wanted to hear from you about that, as much as you're able to say, at least.
It was a very lonely time for me. It was about a 3-day period, which sounds short, but like you're saying, when there's no interruptions and you're on an island and it's just you, like I dug a hole and slept in it for 3 nights. But by the 3rd night, Dan and I had reformed an alliance, and we pretended. And in order for me to come back from that, we stayed 1 more night, so everybody didn't realize that had happened. But it was I was very alone, and I had to really pull on into myself and my spirituality. And there was one night that I almost broke, and it was hard. Jamal came and slept by me one night. Whether people knew he came, he decided whether people knew he came towards me or not. He almost didn't care. See, that was the whole thing. They had to watch if they were associating with me, because I was on the bottom of the tribe at that point.
No.
But no, I fought my way back up.
You did.
Back up to the top. So, it was a lesson learned for a lot of people, including myself. I don't believe that there's anything that we go through that there's not a reason. And I also believe that we need to really listen to our inner voice. We really do. So many times we don't, because we don't want to hear what it says. It's not what we want. It's like the kid in the candy store that wants the ice cream but knows they shouldn't have it. And then, it's just choosing to listen to that. And it was a lonely time.
Can you elaborate more on like what you wish you listened to?
I wish there was a moment when I approached, I'm not going to say who, one of the girls, and I said, I was told that you were very uncomfortable, blah, 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 blah. The way she answered me and the way she left me, I was like, that's not right. And my voice was telling me that's not right. But because my head was so concerned about taking care of everything,
yes,
I overrode my inner voice. And that's what I have learned in 62 years. It has never, ever, ever, ever been wrong. It's whether I choose to listen to it. And I say that wholeheartedly. And so many times I've gotten into problems and trouble in my life because I chose not to listen. And I can remember that moment, standing on the hill, looking down. I can feel the sand under my feet. I can feel the sun. I can feel looking at her and the way she left. And I was like, something's wrong. Yeah, but I chose not to recognize it.
And it's tough too, because I think sometimes we don't always think about those things. And I think, depending on the state of the world too,
Well,
you
and
either believe people or not. And I think it makes it hard. And especially and I think it makes it even harder when you know both parties.
Well, the topic, this is something that I firmly believe in. When I was asked to go on Survivor, when everybody's asked to go on Survivor, they'll ask you, what would you do and what would you not do?
Yes.
And what my not do would be, and I always said, I would not injure somebody. I would not hurt somebody. I believe that the topic of sexual assault is killing a soul. I believe that soul becomes gone and changed forever. So when I'm told something, and I will not, I'm not going, I believe that. So I'm going to do what I feel is right, because I'm not going to injure a person.
Of course.
And it's the topic.
Yeah.
How could I not believe it? Yeah. I had to, whether I did in my heart, whether I believed it in my heart, I had to go with the information, because I was operating in a real world situation at that point. That was my fault, but I would do it again.
So it sounds, okay, correct me if I'm wrong. It almost sounds like things were handled. Do you feel like things were handled well, or do you think that they could have been handled better?
See, it's hard to answer that, because like when I watched the show, any scene that I was not in, I saw for the first time.
Yes.
So that's like months later. And it's hard to answer that, because that's when all the shit hit the fan. Being on the island, it was very confusing, because I don't understand why some things were done and some things weren't done. I'm not saying that things were handled wrong. I'm not, because I think with the information that many people had, production included, I don't think anybody intentionally, in my heart of hearts and in my gut, I don't believe anybody tried to handle it improperly. I think things could have been handled better. I think some lives were, I don't want to say destroyed, but affected very adversely. And that's the unfortunate thing. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what fate, who knows the way things are supposed to fall. There's some great things. Elizabeth and Jack came out as a loving couple together.
Yeah.
There's so many wonderful things that did happen.
It really is. And I think it seems like every season that has like a big thing, like whether it's, kind of like the society issues, I feel like that come up.
Yeah.
We can think about, Jeff Boner and, Zeke, or we can think about Sarah Lucina's speech about women.
I loved her speech, by the way.
That was a beautiful speech. Probably one of the best. And so
the other thing I'm interrupting, and I'm sorry.
You're okay. Go ahead.
The other thing I really liked about Winners at War, that conversation that Sarah had, and they talked about the PTSD. And that was a perfect platform, because they were all returners. I believe all of us have PTSD on some level. She had it for like 8 years. I have it, with different things and different situations. We all have some sort of an effect, I believe.
And I think some people have handled it better. Like, from knowing a couple people, I've talked to like Rob on here, and I've talked to, Johnny, of course. And, like Johnny will say, Survivor's the best thing that could have happened to me. It changed his life for such the better. But I also think that goes into your mindset and how you are able to handle things mentally. And maybe that goes back to what you said earlier about being able to prepare for that more, but also how do you really prepare for that? Because you don't really know until after. And I think a lot of times, and that's the tough part about PTSD. So this is my little aside here, is everybody looks at PTSD and thinks, oh, it's this big, you had one big event and that's the thing that causes your PTSD. But no, PTSD can be anything, and two people can go through the same trauma and not both have PTSD. So,
Right.
But I think people be like, what? You were on Survivor. Why would you? That was a great experience. It's like, yeah, but you're also, it's not like they're feeding you behind the curtain. You're still dealing with stuff, and you don't know. And I mean, now we can get a little bit into probably that post-game piece. Is it affects you. It changes your life. You're out there for so long, and not knowing what people are saying about you, thinking about you, you're sleep deprived. You're like, when am I going to eat next? How far am I going to be pushing my body today while watching the weight just fall off of you? There's a lot that goes into that, I think, that nobody thinks about, and it does affect people after.
It 100% does affect them. I remember Dean's gratitude all the time was, thank God it didn't rain. You know, something as small as that, as monumental as that. When I came home from Survivor, I'm looking at the room now. I have a Survivor room with all my stuff.
Oh.
And my husband said there's sliding glass doors there. And I was walking out and it was pouring rain, Florida pouring rain. And I froze, and I stood there just staring. And he said, I stood there for like 5 minutes just staring. You know, I was only off the island for like 2 days at that point. And it was like, yeah, I was like, woof, you know, it just really, just certain things just are crazy. But people have trust issues. I'm telling you, I see so much more now since being on Survivor, the body language between people. It doesn't matter what they're saying. It's how they're carrying them. I thought I was good before. Nothing like now.
Wow.
It's like crazy. Yeah. You just learn to pick up on, you become so paranoid. You learn to watch everything. And then all of a sudden you make the connections. And that paranoia carries over into your family life and friends and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask, is how that does affect how did that affect your family and friend relationships when you did come home?
It's different because everything's different. Because again, for my situation, I became instantly recognized in the public. So everywhere we went with family and friends, pictures and autographs and all that kind of stuff. So that was different. Some friends liked it, some friends didn't. It could be aggravating, but I never wanted to turn anybody away because I don't feel I have the right to do that. Who am I? I'm not if I can brighten somebody's world with a smile and a hello and a picture, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it. Just a few of my friends, and I don't know that they were really my friends or whatever, that changes a little bit with this, the celebrityism, that kind of a thing. But I'm also grateful for it because I get to do a lot of work. I work with Give Kids the World in Florida, and I get to do a ton of fundraising for them, crazy stuff. I just went over 32 stories over the edge. People that
I saw that.
Oh my God. That let me tell you, I know I'm okay. I'm in a sweat. I'm like hyperventilating. It's like the scariest thing. Anyway.
Wait, so give some background. I saw, I think, did Twyla do it with you?
Twyla did it also.
Okay, I saw her post about
it. Did it, yeah. It was good seeing Twyla there and getting her back there. But yeah, we put it out on our fundraising pages, media, and people can donate money, and it goes to Give Kids the World. And I do crazy stuff like that. Next year I have the big one coming up in December. I'll tell you about that at the end.
Ooh, okay. All right. We have a little, I forgot the word, but a little excitement for later, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell me more about what was, challenging about coming home. So I know you said that the rain, I mean, it had to have been weird. I imagine that when you were standing there staring at the rain, that it was almost like, I'm not getting wet right now.
Yes.
I'm dry.
It was like, because we would run and like hide our clothes and bury them as secretly as possible to keep them dry, and it's like, it's just that moment of, it was raining. But It was, I got back and I had to drive from Florida to New Jersey because I was a chief lifeguard because I was already late starting my job. I said to my husband, I said, I don't know if I'm going to be able, we're going to have to stop every 2 hours or what. We wound up driving straight through. I was just like,
That's a long drive.
yeah, it was 16 hours, but
Yeah.
it was weird. It was weird, and then I got back and it's just a little surreal. Everything's a little surreal. Again, you're like, I was boom, boom, boom. Like I wish I had a week or so just to decompress, but I didn't anticipate that. I was like, oh, I'll come back and then we'll go.
Oh I can't imagine, because I know when I just did 6 days, mind you, 6 days. That's it. I needed a week. I was like sleeping, I think like 12 hours a night. And so, wow.
Yeah. My sleep has been disturbed probably since then, since Survivor. I wake up a lot,
Jeez.
My hours are all off.
And how's your stomach?
Okay. Yeah. It took a while.
I hear some people, I know some people get like parasites and it takes
I
years
test for everything.
And were you clean? Were you all good?
I was clean. I was all good. It was just a matter of getting my digestive system to hold on to the food.
It's so, when your body's so malnourished, and then you have days where you just binge eat because of a reward, and it's people are like, ooh, it's so great, but it's like you're binge eating, so you're not really getting it.
It wasn't good.
It's definitely tough, and I think I know so many people, like I'm in the online community world, Survivor world, and so many people want to be on the show, but then I'll be like, oh, you want to go camping? They're like, no. And it's like, okay. People, I think people don't know what they are really getting themselves into sometimes when they're actually like realistically applying for the show. It's, I even am like, would I want to be? I don't know.
And that's the thing. People are constantly asking, is it really what it looks like? I'm like, yeah, you're in the middle of a jungle. You don't have shelter and you have the clothes on your back. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is.
Like, I know this has been said many times by people is, you don't actually swim to like tribe. You actually get brought over. Yeah. Like, there's a little peek behind the curtain for that. But, it's still survival. Like I've had people try to say, well, they let them get all dolled up before tribal. I'm like, no, they don't. Like, where do you get that info from?
Yeah. Somebody was saying that, don't they ship you off to hotels at night and stuff? I'm like, no.
Yeah. The dirt's just makeup.
Yeah.
The weight loss, they just make you lose a lot of weight.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, but everybody's a critic, right? So everybody always has something to say about it.
Well, it's human nature. Everybody, people make judgments. And in order to feel like that judgment is okay, they have to tout it and think that they're right. That's the other thing I'm learning since Survivor. There's so many different ways to approach everything, relationships, living, everything. There's no one way. And, I'm actually doing a speech in March to school counselors on this.
Oh, that's awesome.
Don't put our goals, out there to other people just because that's how we think it's supposed to be, and it's very, very important for people to recognize that their way isn't the only way.
Yes. And I always would say that to clients too. I'm going to teach you some skills. Not all of them are going to work for you. You need to do and figure out what's going to work best for you. The thing I would always preach is doing the things that make you happy.
Right.
It's not as easy as that. I don't want to say that, but doing the things that make you happy and actually taking the time to do those things. It's huge. So, and sometimes those goals or those things that make you happy don't look like what everybody else's does. And that's okay.
But you have to be able to deal with the backlash of that. It's like the mom that goes on a week vacation every year by herself. You're going to have people that are going to condemn her. And then you're going to have other people saying, you go, girl. So that's what you have to be able to be ready for is the fact that when you make yourself vulnerable by allowing people to see who you are, you're going to get criticized, but you're also going to get praised. You're also going to get praised. It's like, the person that gets dressed up to go out and they have like one thing that they don't like. And it's like somebody will say something and you look drop dead gorgeous, but you have this one little spot. You're going to focus on that one little spot. It's the same thing.
Well, I even think about what comes to mind for me is kind of the dressed up thing. But when women dress up and they, want to feel like themselves are hot, and people are like, well, they shouldn't be dressed like that. That's too much skin or that's too much. And it's like, they're just wanting to be, feeling confident.
Right.
The problem's not within the person. The problem is with the other people. So it is interesting. And I think people do have to sometimes get backlash about that. But also, I think that a lot of us women, I think you'll maybe get this, is we can be very judgmental towards each other. And so it's really nice to see some of that changing where people are getting like, the praise too, and being like, good for you. You look awesome today. Like, keep showing that.
Yeah. Own it. I mean, Jamal was all about that. We were all about not body shaming anybody and just, embracing who you are. I mean, I really think if you can have an aura about yourself, no matter what you look like, people are going to, it changes how you're perceived.
Oh, 100%. I totally agree. I think confidence is the most attractive thing about a person, or it can be the most attractive thing. So it's wild. And it's also, I feel like too, a lot of what we're talking about today is the mirroring of Survivor versus real life. And I do always think, and I mean, the reason I love Survivor is I love social experiments. Being in psychology, I enjoy that a lot. So that's why I like it. But it's always that microcosm of what the world looks like today.
And that really frustrates me a little bit too, because I agree with you. I think that whenever you're in those environments, you are representing a microcosm of the world. And you'll see a lot of people, oh, it's a game, it's not a microcosm. Yeah, it is. Once you put people in it, it's a microcosm of society.
It might be a bunch of very quirky people, but it is. But I do think that Survivor does a decent job at representing all different types of people. And so it's not just a ton of quirky people. It's quirky people. It's the quieter people. It's the very thoughtful people. It's the motherly roles. So I do think they do a good job. I mean, filling those archetypes, which I know a lot of us know that there's the archetypes of Survivor. But it's interesting. And I know that, like, the past season, for example, people are kind of, but it showed what the microcosm is of our society right now. And it's important.
I think it's very important. I really do. And I give Jeff a lot of credit and Matt for trying to address societal issues. I know that they can get criticized for that, but I think it's valid to address societal issues.
And if you don't like watching it, fast forward a little bit. That's all.
And then you have all the people that would rather see more camp life, so it really goes both ways.
It's tough. And, this is where I'll put my little, I've never watched Australian Survivor. I am just starting to now. And I will say, I'm going to say this again. He'll be very happy. Johnny is right. Australian Survivor is awesome.
Yeah.
Because they do show a lot more of that camp life, which is cool.
I was told that, and I haven't started watching it all yet either. And I'm still trying to figure out how to get it on my TV, to be honest. That's the only reason why.
just ask Johnny. If you join the Patreon for NSFW, you actually can get the links to all the episodes.
Oh, really? All right, I'll talk.
Shameless plug there.
All right, I'll talk to Johnny.
Yeah, he'll hook you up.
Right.
But I do think, so what other kind of things? So I know, because how many years ago was it that you played now?
2018, 19.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So like right before everything.
Oh, it was right before. It was the last one before, Winners at War and everything shut down. Wow. Winners at War was filmed right after us. So yeah, it was, we were the last regular Survivor filmed before the pandemic. And I hope we go back to the old format. I really do.
Me too. I mean, unfortunately, season 42 is probably going to be the same.
Well, they are 42 and 43. I think it's good because they at least it was a business decision how to fit Survivor in the calendar with COVID. And I think they were afraid that, they wouldn't be able to film the finale and what was going to happen. And look what happened to Amazing Race. They had to stop it for 18 months, So I think that it was a smart decision on Survivor's end to say, okay, we can at least fit seasons in, and this is the way we're going to do it. And we can all be back, what's that, backstreet quarterbacks or whatever it is, and say, oh, it should have done it this way or that way. I just hope it goes back to the old format.
I just like Survivor, so I'm just happy that it's here. But I agree. There was a lot this season. I felt like the episodes were just too short this season too.
I agree.
It's almost kind of like, oh, okay, we see like 5 seconds of camp life, and it's like, oh, how did that vote happen? I don't understand. And I want to see that. And a lot of my friends, at least, that's what they want to see. They want to see the strategy talk. They want to see like how the moves are being made. Not just like I cared. I want to get to know everybody, but I also want to see that too. So I remember it was like they wouldn't show. There was a couple episodes where they wouldn't show that post tribal after camp, and I'm like, well, what do people think about that? Like, what were people mad? I want to know more about that stuff.
Yeah, I agree. Well, what they had to do is they had to take out all of that camp life in order to fit it in.
Yeah,
so, showing that, and having it. I mean, we'd have 3 days in the beginning between challenges, and those 3 days were really important for building your social game.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because that's the format of the shorter amount of time, because now there's no, and I think that's the thing too, is there was a lot of criticism about like a lot of the players crying this season, but I don't think people realized they didn't have that day off. They back. It just kept going. Where I know like you had the day off usually to where you probably just got to recoup a little
bit and relax. Yeah.
So I'll ask you, is there anything else that you think about, or an interesting story or something that has to do with your Survivor experience and post game or anything?
I just go back to, again, not listening to my gut when we were on when we were on Island of the Idols, down to The Last of Us. You guys didn't see, it just made it look like Tommy was looking with Dean for the last idol. It was with me the whole before that. They don't even show that. But there was a moment there that I didn't listen to my gut, and I asked Tommy a question, and the way he answered me, I knew it. And it was a wonderful time there at that island. But again, I had a gut feeling that, things had turned and didn't follow my gut. But because we were going to give it one more vote. But anyway, no, there's so many stories that along the line, little stories when we were all out on the raft and we're singing and then the white tip shark is coming and I'm in the water, right? And I got everybody up on the raft. And I'm like, okay, I see the white tip, and I don't want to freak everybody out. And I'm like, okay, everybody, let's go over here. And I'm like, get out of here. Like, oh my God. And then Elaine and Aaron went out one time and they went, thank God Elaine had the fins. And she said the shark came up because it was real shallow and then deep. And the shark came up and she's hitting it with the fins and Aaron's taking off running. Oh, it was hysterical.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, it was funny. It was funny.
The things that, you're out there with danger. So
yeah, you are. You are.
Who knows? Somebody could get by a shark. We don't know. It can happen. It has happened. So
I went out myself with, scuba diving and, I'm sure they were very nervous because I was about 300 yards offshore, but oh well, I was trying to find fish.
Hey, and you did. So, that's awesome. So, well, thank you, Janet. So I guess I wouldn't take this time for you to talk about what you're doing now and anything that you want to tell the people.
Well, I try and do a lot of work for Give Kids the World. It's like a Make-A-Wish Foundation. It's for critically ill children and their families. They come from all over the world and stay at Kissimmee, Florida. And they get a week's worth of everything, and Disney's partnered with them, and it's a wonderful program. So I try and do different events. One event that is coming up is Hearts of Reality, December 8th of next year. And I'm already going to start fundraising for that. So
it's next year. They're not doing it this year.
We just did it this past December. It's already every December.
Oh, so it will be 2022.
Yep, it's going to be, and I'm going to have my fundraising page out on my media, and any donations go directly to Give Kids the World. Awesome. The other thing is like we're going up to Tommy's in the Poconos this month, a couple of us, to do some promotion for Woodlock Country Club up there. If you want to go, folks, there's going to be Jamal and Michelle, Tommy, myself, Lauren. And that's fun. I just came from Karishma's baby shower in Texas. Oh my God. Over the top, like a wedding reception and 3-day event. I had so much fun. They're having a baby boy. That'll be the second Survivor baby. Jason had a baby prior to this. What else is going on? Then we have Tommy's wedding and stuff. But if people are looking to be supportive, Give Kids the World. It's a great organization.
Yeah. And I always say this to people too, is if you love Survivor and you want to meet players, go to events. The reason that I am here is because I went to an event. That is the reason that I am doing what I am doing right now. So you never know what could happen going to a viewing party, Give Kids the World, or anything. So it's always good to know. You never know who you'll link up with. Or just make really good friends with.
We have at that, there's Big Brother, there's Amazing Race, and there's Survivor people. And we have survivors from every season that show up. And Brenda from the first season of Amazing Race, her and I were hanging out all weekend at Hearts of Reality. So, you get to meet some great people and you'll see them from all your reality shows.
Yeah, I definitely want to try to go this year.
I hope so. I'll see you there.
Yay. I know soon, like Survivor's coming back really soon.
March 9th.
March 9th. And I'll do my little plug of NSFW will be hosting an event in Louisville, Kentucky at Play On. So people are welcome to come there. I'll be there. There'll be a lot of the NSFW people will be there, Matt Bischoff, and probably some other people, I'm assuming. So like I said, go to events. They're a lot of fun. It's really fun to meet everybody. I think it's the best. And also, what better way to watch Survivor than surrounded by fans?
Yeah, it's great. I love it.
Mm-hmm. So, but thank you so much, Janet, for being able to come here and interview with me. And I really hope that everybody, donate to Give Kids the World. We can watch Janet do her wild stunts to raise money. Follow her pages on, I'm assuming like Facebook and Instagram. Is that where they work?
Instagram. Janet from Survivor 39 is my Instagram. Okay. Just go with that. My Facebook, I'm trying to tone down a little bit because I was getting so crowded. But and I'm on Twitter too. I don't know what that one is, but my kids will find it up.
so yeah, go and donate, be there. It's a great organization. And so thank you everybody for watching, and thank you, Janet.
Thank you. All right. Take care, Sarah. Maybe I'll see you soon.
All right. Sounds good. Bye, Janet.
Bye.
And for more reality NSFW content, visit adfreensfw.com.